Hello all and welcome to the Dbate Podcast, an original podcast by DAMAC Properties where we delve into all things real estate and development. In today's episode, we are touching on all things DAMAC Academy, the world of real estate and the world of sales coming together to create a beautiful program. We are joined by our guests for this episode. Excited to get into this conversation. Firstly, we are joined by Govind Ramachandran, who is the Senior Director of DAMAC Academy. Govind, welcome.
Thank you, Divya.
We are joined by Divya Narain, the Manager of DAMAC Academy. Welcome, Divya.
Thank you.
And joined by Hatim Ayoub, who is a real estate specialist and a graduate of DAMAC Academy. Welcome, Hatim.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Listen, I'm so excited to get into this conversation. We have so much to get through today. But I guess first, before we go any further, Govind, if you would please do us the honor, for anyone listening right now who isn't familiar with DAMAC Academy, could you tell us what DAMAC Academy is and what you guys do?
Well, this is actually the birthing of the vision that the management had, especially Amira Sejwani. Now, the idea is to create a gold mark standard of an academy that can fulfill the gaps in the market, and the gaps are yawning gaps. And we do not have an institution of this caliber, of this nature that can fulfill those gaps. We're the only developer that has perhaps invested heavily into an academy of this size. And the idea was, number one, create a benchmark. Bring in the best practices from the industry. Don't keep it academic. Make it more on the ground. Fold up your sleeves and get to work. So bring the life skills that you need and make it as practical as possible. People to convert their opportunities to business. Mm-hmm. And our stakeholders are diverse. We have stakeholders on the academy, on the agency side. We also have stakeholders on the direct sales side for us. We have relationship managers who work very closely with agencies. So we've got a nice, multifaceted foot soldiers of sales, and we've got to take care of all of them. Mm. So the academy was therefore set in that context, that we bring the best value to all these stakeholders. So that's what primarily the academy does.
Lovely. I mean, there is a structure there, isn't there, Divya? I guess, is there a criteria for those that want to be a part of DAMAC Academy and learn?
There isn't per se a criteria. We really do cater to all those who would need some education from the academy and could benefit from it. Mm-hmm. But what we do have is actually a thorough needs analysis as well, just to make sure that we actually understand what they need.
Right. Okay. And so, Hatim, I think you're a great case study here. When you heard about DAMAC Academy, how did you get introduced to it? And I guess they have such a fantastic reputation. So there's a reason that you wanted to join.
Yeah, absolutely. So our agency recommended the training. I first arrived in Dubai with no knowledge of the market, of the city. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, best way to start is to join this academy and try to learn a few things about the market. So I first joined at the pleasure and honor to attend one of Divya's sessions, and that literally laid the foundation for all the market knowledge, all the history of the market, Dubai as a city, the vision, where it's heading to. So it literally allowed me to, progress throughout my journey, and it was all thanks to DAMAC Academy.
Amazing, amazing. Govind, when was DAMAC Academy when was it first introduced to the market?
The two parts to it. The Agents Academy is as old as about 3 years. Mm-hmm. There's post-COVID that we started to put this whole thing together. Mm-hmm. Successfully tried, tested in the past 2 years. And from there on, we've evolved.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Would you say the mission has always been the same, or is it ever evolving?
It's ever evolving, mm-hmm. but the mission continues to be more or less consistent with what we want to offer to the market. Mm-hmm. And that is to make sure we bring the best practices to the marketplace, mm-hmm. reduce the yawning gap, the skill gaps that we find. Mm-hmm. There is no other standard that we still see in the market. Mm-hmm. As I was saying, on the other side, you have extreme academic agencies that try to bring an academy, but we want to bring the best of that blend, which is academy and practice together. Yeah. So that's been our mission, to continue to bridge that gap, reduce that gap between what's required in the marketplace versus what we want to offer.
Divya, let's talk about these gaps in particular, because you have a certain approach to actually building this bridge. Can you talk to me more in detail about that gap and that bridge that you're trying to create at DAMAC Academy?
Absolutely. So the gap that we're trying to bridge, obviously our job is first, like you said, to understand that gap. And we ensure that the first step before we can go into any trainings and delivering anything is that we actually sit down and get a very good understanding of the agency, the agents that we're training, their business model, their clientele, what they're trying to achieve. And then we find, we very carefully curate our questions to really discover where we can add value. Is it market knowledge? Is it skills? Is it the product knowledge? I mean, of course, all of them as well. Our academy is very wholesome. It covers all of the areas. So we really dig till we understand where we can add maximum value. And only then is where we actually, curate a bespoke roadmap, which we then go ahead and deliver. So that's how we go ahead and bridge the gap. We deliver the program. We also ensure that once the program is over, we don't just get hands off. We have a post-academy review process where we sit down, we see where implementation has succeeded, where we can do better, and then, we keep going on with refreshers as well. So it really comes back full circle.
Yeah, wow. I mean, Hatim, I guess you got that roadmap and you know exactly what Divya is talking about.
Yeah.
Are there any particular parts of the program that really stood out to you that you could actually implement directly into your career?
I mean, the entire program, the program is very comprehensive. So it covers pretty much everything from skill sets to how to deal with clients and pretty much every aspect, every angle for a real estate agent. I think the one thing that stood out the most, given after being in the market after a year, is I learned some tricks, like never to pitch on the phone a project. Always go for that meeting. Go try and get to meet a client face to face, because over the phone, you don't create that bond with the client, and the client doesn't bond with you. So it's always better to focus on that meeting. And ever since I started implementing that, just go for the meeting, I think that changed a lot. And that's the one thing that I took personally from this academy. So
Wow.
And it changed a lot. Yeah, it changed everything actually for me.
I mean, it's such a program that's so innovative and ahead of the curve, Govind. So tell me about the tools and innovation, I guess, that DAMAC is. I mean, not just within the academy as a whole. We know that DAMAC really is at the forefront, of innovation of the industry, but. In particular, the academy, what kind of tools and techniques do you implement within the program to ensure it's ahead?
As we spoke about the evolution of the academy itself, innovation has always been at the heart of it. Because if we don't constantly innovate, our standards change, markets shift. We need to surf that wave very quickly if we need to be up in the curve. Some of the things that we've done first is, as Divya just mentioned, on the ground, we do a lot of detailed understanding of what the agencies actually require. So every training program is made to measure. I mean, it's just specific to what the agency need. We understand the culture a bit, and with the time that we start rolling out, it gets even more culture sensitive to a particular agency. The second is the use of technology itself. With the digital platform that's going to be coming in, the use of tools like Metaverse, we're not just now trying to keep it local, we now want to export that and make it international as well. So the reach is going to get even bigger and better. The third would be, because we work with agencies like Springfield itself, like what Hatim was mentioning, we do tend to grab a lot of the best practices that they actually adopt. And we don't just let go of those best practices, we bring them back to the designer board, and then we kind of hammer and tinker and create something really meaningful out of it. And then we test it again. So our programs constantly evolve from that point of view. So that's one of the reasons why it's very, very innovative as well. Once tech is out, and we've already signed up on the digital platform to bring the best modules and to have more reach and more engagement, imagine having a module of this size now on your mobile device. So that's how far we want to take technology as well. So it's evolved from that point of view. And in terms of tools, we also found another gap. Social media is a big thing for agencies. And most of the leads, correct me if I'm wrong, Hatim, most of the leads do come from social media. They harvest a lot of leads from there. And one of the things that were constant requests for us as an academy is train us how to leverage social media. So that's another module that we went out. We met advertising companies, came up with the best practices that they use and what could possibly help our agencies in real estate. And we brought them as well as part of the curriculum. So it's constantly evolving from that point of view.
Yeah. We're talking about longevity for years and years of someone's career after they graduated from DAMAC Academy. Talk to me about that impact and the longevity that DAMAC Academy really has left on a lot of your agents.
I'm glad you bring that up, actually, because, we would like to believe that there are long-term impacts, definitely, that the agents take with them. I would think that one of the first impacts that I'd like to talk about is just uplifting the professional competence, right? Because we train on such a wide variety of subjects, market laws, market rules, best practices as well, like Govind mentioned. It just helps the agents be much more competent with what they do and do things the right way, right? So In other cases, maybe the agents would take 6 months to a year to learn something, to discover something on ground, whereas we teach them that in 8 to 10 weeks, and then they carry that forward. And it's very practical and implementable, the program. So it really blends very well into their daily tasks and activities, right? So it really uplifts overall the competency of, I would say, the agents community, right? The broker community. Secondly, we have also seen that it has a very large impact on their productivity and conversions. Right now, of course, educating them with the knowledge, the skills as well, they take that back, and that actually helps them increase their conversion ratios. And of course, in turn, that increases their conversion, production, number of transactions, not just for themselves, but that adds to the market. Mm-hmm. And finally, and very importantly, it is always seen that well-trained agents are 100% more capable of dealing with market fluctuations. Right? So it doesn't just help them grow as the market matures, but it really helps them and equips them to navigate a market that might be volatile, right? And stay in the market for longer, in turn, again, creating an agent community that is much more stable and also has an increased quality of work.
Okay, so Govind, talk to me specifically about the DAMAC Academy digital learning strategy. You already spoke to me about the innovation side of things, how you're ever evolving, how you're always on top. But when it comes to the digital learning strategy, how does it effectively kind of cater to the diversity of the agents that you have coming through as well?
I think that's a pertinent question to ask, given where we are in the landscape in real estate. One of the things is we used to have one-size-fits-all approach in the past, and we tried to customize it based on what the agency needs. Now we want to take it another level. We want a hyper-personalized training, which simply means that you get what you want, and it's no more one stroke of a brush. And that can be accomplished fairly well using technology. For example, you use artificial intelligence, and on the platform, what it does is based on who you are, what your competencies are, based on what you've been searching on the platform, it starts curating content for you on one side. That makes it hyper-personalized, right? Second, you now have content on the fly. I mean, gone are the days when you could sit in front of a monitor for about 2 hours and do a proper session. Now you want about 5 minutes, 2 minute, bite-sized videos, micro videos here and there that can help me learn on the fly. So the whole idea of setting up digital is to make learning absolutely easy, and at the same time make it engaging.
Yeah.
So that's where we are taking digital technology into learning.
Yeah, I love that approach because, again, there's no criteria, as Divya said earlier. So whoever walks through that door, you need to be ready and prepared for them. Divya, let's talk about the future ambitions for DAMAC Academy. What is in the pipeline? Anything that you can share with us?
So some of the very exciting enhancements that we are currently, working towards, and piggybacking off a little bit of what Govind said, because it's all aligned. The first thing that we could talk about is the LXP that we're planning to implement. It's already in the works, which is basically your digital learning platform. And as Govind said, the LXP is exactly where we can provide hyper-personalized, very customized training material as well, because using artificial intelligence, it suggests courses. So we obviously, as DAMAC Academy, will feed into that. So not only does it help with personalization, but it's also going to help us in a big way, having a dedicated platform to provide our agents with material, which again, especially helps us a lot with our international agents. Now, in addition to that, we are currently also piloting our first gamification. It's very exciting. It's really cool. It's called The Exodus. It's about a journey into outer space, actually, to the DAMAC planet. Now, for those of you who don't know what gamification is, let me explain that. It's basically when we use elements of games into learning. Right? So we introduce obviously rules and competition and a scoreboard. So we've created this beautiful Exodus implementation, and our trainers are currently getting certified to facilitate that. And by the way, this was all done in-house by our content development team. Now, on the third note, talking about how Govind said, having learning literally on your phone on the fly. We have also created, and we are continuing to create, a lot of micro-learning videos, which will be, educating you on a huge subject, maybe let's just say in 3 to 5 minutes. You'll be able to access that easily, and on our LXP as well. And of course, finally, we are working with our lovely colleagues at D Labs to use the Metaverse platforms, use it much more for online trainings, for, immersive trainings, I should say, for our local and our international agencies. So yeah, that's some of the stuff we're working on.
Very busy, it sounds like.
Indeed.
I love to hear it. And I guess this is a question for all of you. And Hatim, directed at you, but Govind and Divya, please do feel free to jump in on this. I mean, we spoke earlier about the industry trends that, have been changing and ever evolving, especially since COVID times all the way through to now. DAMAC Academy actually addresses those trends and actually helps their agents to not just understand it, but stay ahead of it, Hatim. Is there anything during your time during the DAMAC Academy that, really helped the industry trends and, kind of help you just understand it more?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, one of the main trends that, as you said, after COVID was people suffered living in apartments, etc. So people are now shifting towards living in townhouses and villas and, part of a community with parks and golf courses and whatnot. So that's one trend that we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years. And then also there's there's a boom in tourism here in Dubai, so there's a lot of investors putting their money here. Dubai is actually leaning towards becoming an investor-friendly market. They're trying to increase the population from 3.6 that it is today to 5.8. So they're launching a lot of initiatives like the golden visas, and they have a lot of free zones. So there's a lot of money being poured in from all over the world. In fact, last year we registered about 50% of buyers were all investors. So that's also another trend that is important to identify, and thanks to DAMAC, we try to understand exactly what is going on and where this is going to lead us in the next few years in terms of real estate as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing that's important in any kind of industry or any kind of business is, initiatives and partnerships as well, Govind. DAMAC is not shy of that. They're so aware of that. Talk to me about the initiatives and partnerships that have, I guess really helped in order to broaden the industry improvement of what DAMAC Academy is trying to do.
The part of the world that we are in, Dubai, we're still a market that's quickly maturing. We do not have those kind of benchmark institutions that can bring the best of industry standards to the marketplace. We do have some of the institutes that we are now in discussion with, but that's going to be the long haul. But what we are busy now doing is to literally reinvent and continue evolving our existing DAMAC Academy offering. And our best benchmarks come from the marketplace itself. Our agents have become our partners. A lot of the content that we create and the trends that we pick up from the industry are pointers that come from the marketplace. So our agents are very, very important stakeholders for us. In fact, as we speak, our Agents Academy won the Stevie Awards for 2023. And that was specifically in innovation and excellence. So that's benchmark right there for you. And the second is we also have our internal academies that we are now building, for which we are in discussion with a few partners. Names too early to reveal at this point of time, but we are in discussion with a few partners. But the point is, international institutions have a lot of knowledge in academia, but to bring it down to customizing it to Middle East, to speak that language and tone it down to what the Middle East needs, that will take a lot of time. So we are in discussions, and we want to see how we could bring in the best modules from international best practice as well, and tone it down to the Dubai market. So that's where we are heading in the future.
I love that. Before we kind of head to the end of the episode, I do have a quick question for all three of you, which is for anyone that's listening right now that potentially is on the fence. I want to maybe dabble into DAMAC Academy. I want to get involved. They need just one more line of convincing. Hatim, if I put you on the spot right now, why DAMAC Academy?
Because I managed to close my first deal thanks to DAMAC Academy. And so I think that's valid enough reason for an agent to join.
Absolutely. Divya, why DAMAC Academy?
I think because a lot of agents manage to close their first deals. But honestly, jokes apart, we really put our heart and soul into just articulating everything that's happening in the market. It's extremely fast-paced. There's an overload of information, misinformation, and it's very competitive. There are so many agents out there. So yeah, we would just love this opportunity to help you navigate all of this. And go ahead and close your first and all the next thousands of deals.
Yeah. I know. There you go. Govind, why DAMAC Academy?
We are the benchmark. I mean, with all humility, I would still like to say there is none like the DAMAC Academy. Right? And we are only as good as our agents are.
I want to thank you all so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. Thank you once again.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode. You can, of course, listen to the Dbate podcast on YouTube and all streaming platforms or wherever you find your podcasts. If you are interested in finding out more about the DAMAC Academy, head on over to Instagram and give us a follow at damac.academy to find out all things that you need to know about this wonderful program. We look forward to seeing you on all our future episodes.